I would definitely, absolutely concur that this is a movie you have to see in theaters. Like, to be real quick about our experience, my wife and I, we went opening night, and we got there Thursday night, and as soon as we pulled in the parking lot, there were people wearing the costumes, taking pictures outside.
Mm.
No, we not a lot, unfortunately, not a lot of people, but everybody there was super excited. We got into the movie, we sat down, second row center, both so excited, and then we couldn't stop smiling and holding each other's hand the whole time. It was such a powerful experience, and we had all the emotions and we did all the things. We cheered, we screamed, we cried, we yelled. When he did the thing and we held it, we said, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power," all of that stuff. And then, at the end of the movie, I was thinking about all of what it meant to me since birth and how much my dad would have loved it. And I just ugly cried through the entire end credits, especially after that Shira scene. So then, after getting all of that out of me, I go to the bathroom. We're walking out of the theater, and this group of guys who was sitting behind us stops me on the way out. They stopped me and my wife, and they were like, "You guys were amazing." And they were like, "You were verbalizing everything we wanted to say and do and everything. We're just, we're not brave like that. But you guys validated what we were feeling watching this movie when you would shout and cheer and scream and all of that good stuff." So we took some pictures. I'll send you so you can put it up on the deal. That was an amazing experience. I've never had something like this happen at a movie theater before. And I've been to movies where people would wear costumes and do the thing, but I've never had this exact experience. This is not the best movie I've ever seen, but it was the best time I ever had at the movie theater. And this is the kind of movie we need right now for a lot of reasons, not just the messages in the movie itself, but the fact we haven't had really good fantasy movies in a very long time. This is very much in the vein of Flash Gordon and those other classics that they just don't make anymore. And it's also like Speed Racer in that it's a perfect live action cartoon that a lot of people aren't going to get, but people who get it are going to get it hard. There's people out there who understand why Speed Racer is one of the greatest films ever made in the history of cinema. Most people don't get it. They're the stupid ones. Smart people get it. This movie is like that, where the smart people are going to get it and go, "Wow." And they're already out there. There's just not, unfortunately, enough of them. But that doesn't change the fact that what we got was amazing. It's not the movie I would have made. I would have made a ton of different choices, but that doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean my movie would have made more money. I love the choices that they made. It's not a perfect movie, but I think it's perfect for what it has to be.
Yeah.
And I think. But yeah, we had the people that were sitting beside us. It was a couple, and they had their children with them. So they all looked at me like their 20s, their children, and they were saying their kids were so into the movie too. And they were saying the guy beside was like, "Oh yeah, man, we got all the DVDs at home. We made them watch this from like 2 and 3 years old. They grew up on this." And I was like, I told them, "You are great parents."
I ran to some other people too. We were talking and we were like, explaining the references because they didn't catch the Dolph Lundgren reference and the Good Journey reference and all that. So we were explaining all that stuff.
That scene was great. I thought that was a great passing of the torch moment. I love that scene.
Oh, I think that's funny about that scene is, like I said, my mom was telling us that, like, "Oh, the new He-Man guy, the old Dolph Lundgren, we talked to the new He-Man guy, they were talking together or something." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I thought you were just talking about an interview. I didn't know that he was having a cameo in the movie with him.
Yeah. And then also, literally every woman in the theater popped when She-Ra came out and it started playing it dun 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 dun, like my goodness.
I was super guilty of that one.
I know. I mean, hey, I like She-Ra too. I think she's cool. I think she was like, I mean, to be honest, She-Ra is also one of the first real female standalone superheroes, really, if you think about it, like of the 80s especially. But one of the things I found, I thought about, well, this is when people refer to the term popcorn movie, this is what I think of when I think of a popcorn movie. This is a movie you just put on and you could just enjoy. Like you're not trying to overthink, but if you are a fan, you kind of enjoy it more. See, I went with a roommate who didn't grow up watching He-Man. So he was very like, "What's this about?" And I go, it's best if you just watch the movie. Like, I'm not going to explain. I said, it's fantasy sci-fi. That's all you need to know. and it's based around a cartoon. I showed him a little clip of some He-Man stuff, like the intro to He-Man a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, okay." I said, "So basically that live action." I said, "He's like, okay." So he was, yeah, but he really enjoyed it, and the fact that a person who's again so out of the loop could enjoy it just as much as I did speaks volumes to the ability to adapt it. Also, on a random side note, if they're on occasion, I will watch movies, and in my head, I'm always like, if I could have like a prop, but it always, if I were to get a prop from a movie, I would want to get like obscure random props that no one else would have. If I were to get any prop from this movie to own, it would be Skeletor's work badge. I would kill to own that, just to have that, just lit the lanyard. I would kill to have that because, like, I love how he's all like, what is this?" Like that was so great.
Yeah, I want
a lot going on in that movie.
I want an HR Skeletor figure. They got to make it.
I think they are.
They're gonna make that, and they got to make a Jim Bro Skeletor.
I'm pretty sure I heard they're working on at least one of those for very soon. They kind of knew what they did.
Yeah,
they knew everything in this movie was deliberate and on purpose. You'll never convince me otherwise. There were nothing by accident in this movie.
You know, they'll do it now, sooner or later. NECA will do it like years later. It's like, no, do it now. Do it now. Oh, don't wait till years later or whatever.
Dude, these toys they're now for the movie are incredible. They're incredible for the price point. They're going to do everything they can.
So, if they were to make a sequel, I forgot the character's name. I know you'll know who it is, but you know the blue clone of He-Man? What is their name?
Faker.
What is it called?
His name is Faker. Yeah.
Faker. So if they made a sequel, should they bring Faker? Because I would love if they did.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a million ways to make Faker work. Faker's in some of the best stories. It's just he's not always blue is the thing. It's just the easiest way to sell you another action figure. What I like that in a lot of the lore, he starts off as a perfect clone of He-Man, and then he turns blue when he gets battle damaged. That's
blue He-Man with orange arm. Yeah, well, he had the thing similar to Skeletor's thing. Skeletor made him.
I have to see it.
Yeah,
and it's just they couldn't. There was just a way to sell you a different action figure with the same He-Man mold, but in the cartoon he looked identical to He-Man. But
something like that. I think
eyes glowed. That's it. But that the mom wasn't going to buy you.
Like if they made a sequel movie, I would add like a couple of comedy scenes just for the fans. Like one that I would add if they made a sequel would be like, them trying to infiltrate Skeletor's lair. And then it's all like, all right, we need someone to blend in. And it cuts to many faces like changing. He's like, no, not you. It's just like one quick scene of him just like shifting his faces and be like, no, not you.
You know who probably will be in a sequel that we didn't get this time, but you almost anticipate he would have to be because the stakes would be bigger, would be Zodak. The cosmic.
Yes. Usually more of a cosmic type threat guy,
I think they would have to do a She-Ra thing first, and then I think they'd have to have a She-Ra thing with Hordak, and then have to introduce him after.
Well, I think he could be involved because, like, the fact that it's happening on two worlds, the stakes would be bigger, so the need to enforce the balance would be greater or something. They could work Zodak in there somehow. And these movies are already juggling 15 characters, and they're going to have to do different next time. That's the only problem anybody should really have with this movie is that, obviously everybody's got their favorite characters and concepts from the toy line and the cartoons, and they couldn't all fit them in there because of the budget. That's really the only shortcoming I saw in this movie is that no matter who you love, you're going to be shortchanged a little bit. Even if you're like me and you loved everybody they put in the movie, you're still going to wish they all had 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes of Beastman, 5 more minutes of Trapjaw. We got no Merman, but you know what? When the worst thing you can say about a movie is that it leaves you wanting a whole nother movie and another one after that, that's pretty damn good, I say. I definitely want more,
or
just so we see this cool stuff we didn't get.
What did you think of Idris Elba as Duncan?
Fantastic.
It threw me off. I wasn't expecting.
Right? I'm like, man's got range. Man's got range.
he personified the role. He really did a great job. I loved his whole, fall and rise redemption arc. I liked that him and Adam had to inspire each other and re-inspire each other. I thought that by making some of the choices they did creatively to the story, it gave us a better story all the way around. They still had him be classic Duncan in the fact that he's the wise uncle, but the fact that he actually screwed up and had to lose everything and then fight and gain it all back, it really enriched the story. There's so much going on in this movie, and I thought he was one of the best parts of it. Anybody who has anything bad to say about him or his portrayal has serious problems, because you're just not going to get a better actor for the part. And
I also loved. Sorry, you go ahead.
On his armor goes just a thing, and here they made it to a flask. And I've seen memes like after so many years, you finally find out what that's for. Or I just found out today that my Man at Arms figure I bought for the '80s was carrying a flask this whole time. That kind of thing.
Back in the day, we used to joke that he put his Swedish fish in there, so he just nibbles on them all day and nobody knows. He just nom.
I also will say this is more for not necessarily just this movie, but as a person who does writing and stuff and knows about the filmmaking business, I'm so glad that they hinted at but didn't 100% pull the trigger on Tila and Adam being a thing. Like they literally were like, hey, like they're like, hey, we're gonna be like, okay, good. Leave it there.
Yeah, in the cartoon, it was always hinted at, but she constantly shut him down too. It's like,
right,
you don't have to go all the way on your first shot. Now, I like sometimes when they do it. Like I said, I'm a huge Man of Steel fan. I liked how they had the whole cat and mouse thing done away with, and they were just together at the beginning because it saved time in the story, and it's fine. But I liked here that they didn't give you the house right away. They hint at it. If you know the lore, you know where it's going to go. But you don't have to give the house away up front. Tell the story, let it simmer, let the stakes go up, and have them, do more in future installments. I thought it was fine. I thought it was funny. And, you don't have to do the same thing everybody else does. It was like,
in a good way. They didn't. It wasn't just like, oh, bleh. It's like, no. No, there's no organic chemistry yet. Give it some time. Let it simmer.
Yeah, it felt like the show to me. In the show, they eventually develop a little bit more towards the end of the show. They get a little more friendly and things, but and then in the newer shows, obviously they play with it a lot deeper. But even there, it's built on past things. It was a little too soon to do it in the first movie, I thought. But I liked how they kind of
again, I guess, as adults.
Yeah, this is not.
Did anybody catch the? Did anybody catch the hint? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Johnny, I wanted to get what you thought about the movie.
Oh, what I thought about the movie in general?
Well, just your thoughts in general. If there's any
about the possible Adam /
that too, just in general, like was there any things like you were kind of happy to see or surprised to see or not surprised to see?
I just liked the entire movie in general. I think it's very contemporary. It feels very fresh. It feels very modern. It feels very like what's happening now, mixed up with all the fantasy with Eternia and all the villains and Skeletor and all that kind of stuff. It's like a good mix. It's a mix between what you grew up loving in the 80s, but also it felt like the movie, like it respects the fans in the way that it feels like it grows with you. It's like,
yes.
I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but it just feels like a good mixture between a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new.
Yeah, it's explaining it very well, because I was with the material from day one in 1982, and it's exactly like that to me. It's self-aware. It knows what it is. It winks at itself. It's serious when it has to be. It knows when to bounce back and forth, and it does respect the audience like me. Like I said, you're not going to find somebody more deep into it than me. People a little older than me, maybe, but I was born right at the same time they introduced the toys. I never lived in a world without He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I don't know a world without it. And it's always been that important to me. And it was important that they get this movie right. And people who knew me from the message boards and He-Man.org, where I had the distinguished pleasure of being the very final person banned from their message boards the day they shut their website down. It was more ceremonial than anything. But yeah, I was afraid of this movie for decades because Hollywood doesn't always get it right. And they usually get it very wrong. And so I was afraid of it. But they got it so right that I'm almost embarrassed that I ever feared it because it's such a Valentine and a love letter. So Johnny, you exactly validated how I felt. You know, it's old, but it's new. It's but it's self-aware but intelligent. You know, like you said, when you said about how it respects the fans. I'm the biggest fan, and it respected the hell. I felt respected by beyond any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. Like the very few things I remember from the original cartoons, I felt like the movie actually did a good job representing that in a realistic way, in a way that's that makes sense, in modern lens as well, right? But one thing I like about the movie as well is that kind of like what Jack Knives have said is that this movie is so good on its own that even if you don't know the original He-Man cartoons, even if you haven't watched the original cartoons or have ever owned their action figures or anything of that nature, the movie is still pretty good on its own. It's still a very entertaining movie. It's a very entertaining movie. It was not a boring movie at all.
Oh yeah.
That's good because movies are not cheap,
Yeah. So in this case, guys, we could probably go on for hours and hours, but to kind of wrap things up here a little bit, because we all got to work tomorrow. I think most of us got to work tomorrow. One good question is, where do you guys think the movie's gonna go now, especially with Evelyn taking the Skeletor skull away and all that stuff, and the She-Ra prelude and everything?
I think more than likely they would most likely they should do a She-Ra movie first. And then like the tease at the end is her and then like a resurrected Skeletor appearing at the end. And then that would kind of lead into a He-Man She-Ra third movie. That's what I would do. If it were me, that's what I would do.
Oh, I mean that's probably the ideal scenario. Money wise, I got a feeling the next one is probably going to be like a Secret of the Sword deal where they try to get through as much of it as quickly as they can, just for the sake of, they're not seeing a lot of return on investment. They're doing okay by their own metrics. By what they said, they're doing all right. They're very interested in doing more. I would love to see spin-off material in an adjacent series. I don't know if they're going to be ready to commit that wholeheartedly yet. So if I had to put money on it, I would say they would have She-Ra be in the next movie as like the B plot or whatever. Ideally, they would do what you said. That's what I would do also. I'm not sure that's what they're going to do. We'll see. But they're going to do something with She-Ra and hopefully Hordak. One way or the other, that's got to be where they go next. I mean, you don't tease something like that and then pull it back. If they do anything, they have to do something with respect to that. The idea of just getting Hordak makes me excited.
We're getting an Orko 3-season Prime deal. No.
Well, I mean, you can do that for the kid.
Set everything up.
No.
But him using it, Orko using all his magic and messing everything up.
Everything would be right.
One question I have.
Anyway.
Since one thing I wanted to pick everybody's brains about real quick before we go, if you could change one thing about this movie, big or small, because obviously it seems like we all liked it a lot to various degrees, but if you could change just one thing, what would it be?
I would actually, this is a little nitpick of mine. I would have a little bit more, well, then again, like you said, it could have been cut out for time, but a little bit more about his Earth life in general, or even with him being missing or whatever, like maybe you could have gotten a call like, oh no, what happened, dear? Where are you? Where are you going? Or just something to have some connection to his Earth family. I think that would have been interesting. Because I think it's kind of crazy that he went through all that time, like, oh, I'm from Eternia, yada yada yada. Then he bring his buddy to Eternia, you know? I was like, so what about his adoptive parents? Where did he grow up? They showed him to school, and it didn't look like he grew up in an orphanage because he was at a regular school. So I would love some more background on that. That's just something I would throw in, or just a little bit of something, not too much, but just to keep the flow, going. But that's something I would have put in there because I really want to know, because he said he grew up lonely and all that other stuff too. How did he meet his goofy friend? His roommate.
Yeah.
Just little
Craigslist.
things like that.
Yeah.
I
For
also
me,
agree.
that's the thing though, is like you said, it might be in deleted scenes. I would have said, we needed some more stuff with Mossman because as far as I knew, Mossman didn't even have any lines, to be honest, I think.
He didn't.
And I would like to see more of him to give more impact of his death and also
Yeah.
to show off controlling plants and things. Well, the other thing, I would have had him come back at the end and help fight. Because that's the thing, he's Mossman, and in the at least the 2002 version, he was pretty much like their version of Swamp Thing. So whenever Skeletor killed him, I was thinking to myself, they're killing the one guy that can grow back, clever, show Skeletor kill someone, but someone they could bring back if they need to. But they didn't though. So I'm like,
Exactly. My wife said that in the theater because she
Well,
pays
it's like
attention.
X-Men. Remember how they had X-Men the road cut? It's like Marvel Master Universe the Mossman cut. Like.
No, apparently he's got a big fight scene with Triclops. It's going to be on the Blu-ray. So, but yeah, my wife pays attention. She remembers from the old show and everything like that, and plus some the newer ones. And she's like, of course, they killed one guy who's definitely going to come back.
I
Online are crying about it, and there's like he's Moss Man, dude.
let's see if I go. Okay, more of a minor nitpick and then a major nitpick. Okay. The only thing I was really, really kind of more just like more kind of confused why he wasn't in the movie at all, really that much. He was barely in it, was Cringer. I was really shocked he was like barely in the movie. Like I was kind of like, oh, you're like, I'm like, that was kind of weird. I mean, I understand like, he doesn't really fight, but the way they portrayed him was he was just basically just a tiger, whereas I'm glad they didn't do it like they do in the cartoons where he's like, oh, and then he gets Battle Cat and he turns into that. But I'm glad he wasn't like that. But I kind of would have liked to seen a little more of that version, this version of Cringer a little bit. And then the other thing that I think it goes back to that old stereotype, but it is true. Unfortunately, it's time has proven it. Unfortunately, the name Jared Leto is box office poison. His name.
Did a great
if you
job.
cast he did a great job. It's just him. He's the bleach in the Kool-Aid. He's like, we were having a good time. Why is you
It's very unfortunate.
He did a great job. Granted, he did an amazing job because I'm like, I did not recognize his voice, his mannerisms, his anything. I'm like, if you'd have kept it secret who Skeletor was, I think it probably would have been better.
Like those things where it's like starring Skeletor as himself or something like that.
Exactly. Do that. Do
1.2
it
billion
at the beginning. Yeah, just at the very beginning. Like, don't tell who Skeletor is, but at the very end, tail credits, you're like, oh, okay. Or give him like a nickname or something.
Skeletor had to be evil one way or another, right?
Exactly.
They kept Jared Leto under wraps. You're looking at $1.2 billion easy. One thing I will say, Jeff, what I understand about Cringer from what I read is that there was a couple things that was scripted into the movie as basically in case we get to sort of things because they knew they were stretching the money out. So there's apparently a cut of the movie. I don't know about a cut, but there's at least a script of the movie where they had some more stuff with Cringer that if they got to shoot it, they would. If they had enough left, they didn't have enough left. So they had to kind of shoot and cut around that. So just like they cut the whole Moss Man scene with him fighting Triclops for time, I don't know how much of it they got to shoot, but I'm reasonably sure they scripted more stuff for Cringer that they just didn't get to do for the cameras. And for Wendy, to what she said, there's some of the adjacent media, like the kids novelizations, they talk a little bit more about Adam getting adopted in Oklahoma to a foster family and things like that. So these issues were definitely involved at a scripting stage. They're just things that didn't get to be in front of the camera for one reason or another. It always comes down to money, right, Jack? You know how that goes. So yeah, it's interesting that there is a version of the movie out there that answers all of these things to one degree or another. I'm hoping the Blu-ray is where we get to actually.
Yeah, they
Johnny,
need to release I think they should release a collector's edition Blu-ray with a comic book. Would be cool.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Johnny, what would you change if you could change one thing?
Pretty much like what Wendy said, it would have been nice to see a little bit more of the retrospect of what his life was as being raised as a adopted kid on Earth, and all the bullying he probably went through and all the culture shock he went through. But another thing I would also have liked to see is you still see a little bit of that in the movie. And again, like what you guys have said, a lot of the scenes, there's probably some scenes here and there that, got cut off because of time, time constraint, But I would also have liked to have seen more of Adam's culture shock being an Eternia, because he's been raised as a Earth human being for so long. He doesn't really know how the way of life works in Eternia. So it would have been a little bit more fun to see even more scenes of him acting more awkward, like what like how different things are there compared to planet Earth.
Having to readjust and all that. Yeah, that would have been fun. Like I said, there's a 3-hour cut that we know for a fact he shot 3 hours of movie, and they released 2.25. So I can't wait to see the disc.
We gotta get that.
Yeah.
We haven't bought a physical movie in so long. We gotta get that one. If they release
If I would change one thing, well, real quick. Oh, one thing I wanted to say is that as far as his life on Earth, one thing we could piece together about Adam on Earth is that he must have been adopted by somebody in his mother's family, or because when you see him at work, his nameplate is Adam Glenn, and that's Marlena's last name. So that implies, using logic, the fact that he's using his mother's last name means that whoever adopted him, and I think in the novelization they said that he was basically somebody found him and turned him into like social services or foster care or something, and then he was adopted. We could reasonably assume that it had to be somebody from his mother's family because they had the same last name, right? I mean, you could say he changed it to that as an adult, but that's stretching it a little bit. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that he was adopted by one of his mom's relatives. That answers some of our questions right there, just based on the nameplate he had on his desk at work. I'm pretty good at this stuff. But anyway, one thing I would change, a small thing, would just be I thought it had a few too many dick jokes for a He-Man movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I was not.
So you don't like He-Man relying on his long sword dangling between his gorgeous thighs?
I would have probably taken out 3 of those jokes. If you take 3 of those jokes out, I think the whole movie lands just a little bit better. But I'm not super duper mad at it. That's the only thing really. If I had any practical power, on a larger scale,
the one with Tila accidentally getting her head like under He-Man's loincloth thing. That one probably could have gone. That could have hit the cutting room floor.
I don't know. If you got a guy wearing a loincloth, you might as well lean into it.
Well, I think she did lean into it.
I had a bigger thing I would change, but I mean, there's so little I would change, really. The biggest thing is I would have just done 3 hours, but I'm a lunatic. just like everything about it was so good. The music placement, when they did Princes of the Universe, that's everything I ever wanted. As a kid, I associated that song more with He-Man because I used to put it on while I play with my toys. I love
Same.
it for Highlander, but it's like this is a He-Man song. So when they played it for the movie, we screamed in the theater. Because like I said, my wife loves this stuff as much as I do. So I would not have changed much. I would have maybe taken out 3 of those dick jokes. Oh God, I really can't. That's for me it really. I just would have if I had any power, I would have just done more of all the good that they did. There's not much I would take out. I would just expand upon what's there if I had any control at all. It's so good, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of those jokes were kind of unnecessary. I mean, the Fisto, the thing with Fisto and what's his name, that actually works. That actually kind of works, and especially they were self-aware if they said it because you were. Okay, I'll go over here now. You know, that like you said, "I'm just a kid." Okay.
I also thought this was really funny. There was the bit where Adam was trying to confront Lockjaw with like Tripjaw. Is it Trapjaw?
Trapjaw.
He's like telling him like, why are we fighting? Why can't we just talk about our feelings? I'm like, because the thing is, when they announced this movie, there were people online that were assuming that's exactly what this movie was going to be like. That it was just going to be them sitting down talking. I know,
he always
but
comes
there's
up to the guys in the cartoon. He's like, guys, I'm gonna have to beat you into mashed potatoes. I'd really not have to, I don't want to do it.
No. I'm saying the whole let's not fight, let's talk about our feelings stereotype. How they kind of jokingly leaned into that and it's like, never mind, like that sort of stuff. I'm like, that made me laugh so hard.
That trope. They invented it with that show. It goes all the way around and becomes brilliant because it becomes a parody of itself and then comes all the way back around because that's where the whole thing started. It's brilliant on so many levels. It's just there's a meta text and this super text. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overall I enjoyed the movie. I do hope I would like to see more I mean, for decades, I know they've been talking about trying as hard as they can to make a Thundercats movie, and I would be okay with it. But I think it should be animated. I don't think it should be live action. I think it should be animated.
Oh, I feel like you got to go live action to validate the material at this point, especially now that we've had He-Man. We had G.I. Joe multiple times, for God's sake, and they all sucked. If we can take multiple swings at Transformers and G.I. Joe, clearly we could have a live action swing at Thundercats. Even if just one time, even if it's not great. Like, at this point, if you don't do it, in a lot of people's eyes, the material is not valid. Like, oh, you like that? It never even had a movie. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm just saying that's how people are. I would love to see a straight-to-streaming live-action Thundercats movie.
And also movies like it just, I guess it feels more real, or there's more credit to it if it is live action as opposed to just like another animated movie or whatever,
They haven't done it, and it deserves it even once. Gem had a movie, for fuck's sake, and I love Gem, but that movie was not good. Although now, after seeing the first couple days of the Masters of the Universe movie, supposedly now Amazon wants to do a live-action Gem and the Holograms show for their streaming service. So, I mean, these things are not... They're not failing on the level people think they are. The metrics are...
place in the 80s.
The metrics for this kind of material...
There's certain things that I think could be made and should be made into movies. Like, for example, I've been a huge advocate and felt that there should be a Gargoyles movie, but that's me. I know it's not 80s, but it should. It has, its material is good enough to stand alone, and it has sustained for over 30 years. So, but I do think that Thundercats is also one of those kind of things, because a live action Mum-Ra would be freaking horrifying.
Absolutely.
We also need
I'd even go down for Brave Star. I mean, you got a outer space cowboy, Native American outer space.
Silverhawks.
Silverhawks too. Why not? Why not? It's Amazon's money.
Hey kids, you excited? It's like, hey kids, you excited for Mask? It's like,
what? Dude, I had the mask toys.
No, I know, but like, how many people would be like, what's mask? You mean like the mask? No, mask.
What acronym stand for again? I forgot.
I have no idea. I can't remember. It's military something.
Military assaults. Yeah, something. I used to know. That's the thing.
But anyway,
some like Dolph Lundgren or someone to play Ultimate Warrior, like warrior, stuff. This
this was fantastic. Everything about the movie spoke to me as I would be elitist and call myself a true fan, because like I said, I grew up with this stuff from literally day one. I was born into it, and it's not the movie I would have made. I would have made every choice differently, but I'm not saying I'm right, you know. And there's a good serious He-Man movie out there to be made, like it's just Lord of the Rings, and that would have been great too. Not saying it would have been better or worse, but I think that's what's great about this franchise is it works on 100 different levels. It was done 100 different ways, from the serious to the goofy and at all points in between. And it all speaks to a different type of fan. That's why there's a million different types of fans for this brand. And it was never going to be a perfect movie that everybody loved. But I think this gets the most right and is closest to the heart of what's important as any version of it could have possibly been. Because I've seen what they were going to do with a lot of the other ones, like the Netflix one they were going to do, and a lot of the other studios that had it, they were going about it the wrong way, and they were either going to turn it into something like just Star Wars or just something that wasn't Masters of the Universe. And here, for better or worse, they leaned all the way into it, and they said, well, it is what it is. Get on board or go watch something else. And that was brave. And I'm so proud of them for being willing to do what they did. And like I said, I'm the biggest fan this property ever had. And for me to come away with a smile on my face and tears in my eyes, I wouldn't have changed much. Let's put it like that. I had a great time with it, and I sincerely hope that they find a way to do more stuff in this universe, because it definitely deserves it.
Yeah. So you guys are gonna wrap it up for now. I'm sure the general consensus is that we all love the movie and we all want to see more. And let's hope it happens, because I mean we gotta see She-Ra, we gotta see Hordak. I mean they brought the Fright Zone to life. We gotta see Hordak and the Evil Horde and all them. And hey, maybe in the third movie the Snake Man too. That'd be awesome too. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, guys. This is Mark Rodriguez signing off.
Jack
from Jack Knives Reviews.
Thanks for joining us, Jack.
And this is Juppie Channel. So then the Juppie, you call me Wendy. See you guys later. Turn it over to the man over there.
Johnny Rodriguez.
Nope.
Well, we're gonna take it home. Well, he already took his spot. Johnny, I'm so glad you were able to bring the fresh perspective straight out of the theater and right out into these people's homes tonight. Really grateful to have everybody here dropping their 2 cents on this movie. I'm so glad I had a chance to talk about it, because I have not stopped feeling it since the day my wife and I walked out of the theater hand in hand. Beautiful memories I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life. This is right next to my heart forever. This movie was fantastic. Getting to share it with you guys is just as great. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast. One and only God of Thunder, Lord of Rock and Roll, Rikki Roxx, signing off from the Diving Cutter and Masters of the Universe podcast. Guys, thanks so much for having me. It's been fantastic.
And at the end, do we all want to end it by saying, by the power of Grayskull, we have the power?
Absolutely.
For the honor of Grayskull.
Okay. So, on the count of 3, everyone. 1.
Wait.
What, you got something to...
I don't really have anything.
I'll raise my drink. I'll raise my cup.
Yeah, I'll get my vodka.
There you go. 1. It's the what do you call it, the canteen of power. But anyways,
canteen of power.
1, 2, 3. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power.
Mark, you still don't have the power. Sorry.
Oh.
But anyways, we'll see you later, guys.
Bye.
Guys, thanks so much for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Been fantastic. Thanks so much. Been too long.